welcome. I'm Lori Balderas, and I'm so happy you're here. Well, once again, I was supposed to have a guest, and this is how it goes in showbiz, baby. Sometimes people are not able to come, so it's me again. So we are just coming off of Respect for Life Month, and during Respect for Life Month, I wasn't able to have guests to discuss that. I've reached out to people before, and people are not available to me to come on the show to talk about different Respect for Life issues. So today, I just feel like inspired to talk about Respect for Life Month. For those of you who don't know, I was in a horrific car accident in 1990 where I almost died, and my 2 children almost died along with me. And especially ever since that accident, I am particularly, I know the value of life and my children's lives and those around me. And I think sometimes we don't realize how fleeting our life can be. And I think, sometimes we take our life for granted. Sometimes we take other people's lives for granted. And I think all of that is very unfortunate if that is your mindset, because the Lord gave us our life. It is a true gift. And we need to treat our life with just the most care and gratitude for our life, especially now it's, Thanksgiving month. I love to be thankful for things, and my life is one of those. And that the Lord saved my life and my children's lives is just something that I think about on a daily basis. Also, my daughter last year had a horrific thing happen to her, and she almost lost her life due to the hands of someone else. And so I'm so grateful that the Lord protected her in that moment. And life is just so, so precious. And I just sometimes take for granted that people know this about their life or have the same feeling about their life or other people's lives. And I'm realizing lately, especially, that I personally believe that people are really discarding life very easily, or very blasé about people losing their lives or people getting killed. And so I kind of want to touch on some of that today. I want to touch on, the value of life, why we have Respect for Life Month, what exactly it's, focusing on. And then, like I typically do in my episodes, we're going to kind of get a little dark and dreary there for a while, but then I want to pick it up at the end and find ways that we can value our lives or learn to value our lives or help others around us to value their life. And, it kind of just makes me really sad to even think that I have to talk about this sort of thing because, again, I really value life. So, but I know there's people out there that struggle with all different things, and everybody has their own story. Everybody has their own triggers. Everybody has their, things that have brought them to their thought process or brought them to why they feel the way they do. And so I want to be respectful of that. But I do sometimes think that we get ahead of ourselves, or we get a little off track, or a lot off track. And I've talked about that in other episodes where it's like, God has a path for us. Jesus is the way, the truth, and the life. That sounds so simple. But for whatever reason, we humans dodge off the path. We know what we're supposed to be doing and thinking. Jesus gives us very clear tasks that we need to do and mindsets that we need to follow. And yet, because we're humans, we dodge off. So I do want to talk about these different things today. So Respect for Life Month, I always think that is such a wonderful thing for people to focus on in October, though we should be thinking about it every month of the year. But, there's usually assigned things to different months. But I have to tell you, sometimes lately, I feel like respect for life feels futile sometimes. And it shouldn't be that way. But it just seems sometimes like we are fighting a losing battle, which I don't think we are. But, just sometimes it's frustrating to see all the good works that some people are doing to try to save other people's lives, or try to put, services in place so people won't feel like they have to end their life or someone else's lives. There are so many things out there that are an alternative. And so I do feel in our mindset these days, and when I say our, I'm certainly not speaking about myself. I would imagine most of my listeners who are Catholic or considering to be Catholic maybe aren't having these thoughts and feelings, but maybe this episode will help if you're around people who have disrespect for life or don't value their life or someone else's. Maybe you can refer them to this episode, or maybe you can learn something from this and then talk to them yourselves. But I just think that Respect for Life Month is hopeful in the way that there are these services. I don't know if your churches have people that come in and talk every week where they'll talk about the different services that are provided. That's what our church does. We'll have somebody come from Tender Life or from City Center, which is a place we have where families can live temporarily so that the parents can get a job, the children are taken care of. Tender Life is for young mothers, or maybe any age, where they are needing help so that they can have their baby. They choose the baby's life over an abortion. So Tender Life is a place we have where I live. And there's other facilities that really help. St. Vincent de Paul Society helps. Catholic Charities, things like that. So, and I'm sure there's more, so it's not limited to that. But I think that those things are very amazing groups led by very loving, kind people who are choosing life and want to help people to do the same. So what's the definition of respect? The definition is the feeling of deep admiration for someone or something, or the act of treating others with due regard for their feelings, wishes, or rights. This can mean valuing their opinions and boundaries, even in disagreement, and treating them with consideration and politeness. It can also refer to esteem or honor based on achievements or qualities, or a reference to a particular subject. So, I was raised to be very respectful. I raised my children to be very respectful, and my children are teaching their children to be respectful. I think that is a very important part of being a human being, is to have respect for others and not always think about yourself. So again, I don't know in this day and age that we have a lot of respect for each other. I think things that used to demand respect or would earn respect are just pushed to the side now. And I think that's part of our downfall. Is back in the day, we used to have respect for authority. We would have respect for our parents. We would have respect for, people who were in charge of things, who were trying to give us order in our life. Police, firefighters, teachers, people who need respect. They're in a respect role. Well, nowadays, that doesn't seem to be the case, which is really not a good thing, because if everybody is just in charge of everything and there's no order and there's no, like I say, respect for different offices or things, then it's just chaos. And we've talked about this in other episodes. Chaos is not good, whether that's in your family, in your private life. if it's in your workplace, if it's out in the world. That does not work. Look around you right now. I don't see a lot of respect going on. I don't see a lot of respect for each other or life or much of anything, honestly. Where is that getting us? It's not getting us very far, is it? And I don't know about you. You know, I have a wide variety of age listeners. I would think back in the day, even if you didn't like something, you had respect for somebody in authority. You would respect it. You might not like it. You might backtalk, but to a degree, but you would know that, okay, they're in charge and I need to have respect for their life, my life. And when there's order, then there's, you don't want everybody being in charge and everything is just, this guy over here wants this to be done this way. This guy over here wants this to be done this way. And there's no actual plan. That you can't have respect for something if there's just chaos. So I've just been thinking about this, and I've been thinking, respect life is a very, in my opinion, very heavy topic. But even if you step back and you do just start with just treating somebody disrespectfully and without regard is bad enough. Not listening or considering another person's view or opinion is bad enough. Sorry, I'm referring to my notes because I felt very impassioned by this. Thinking your way is the only way is bad enough. Not being considerate or giving somebody a chance to explain their ideas is bad enough. Being vengeful, like you hurt me, so I'm going to hurt you back, that's bad enough. Making a decision about someone based solely on outside appearances, the color of their skin, how they dress, how they look, that's bad enough. But then, because if that's not bad enough, we make it worse. How do we make it worse? Then we start going literally after our life and someone else's life, whether that's suicide, assisted suicide, abortion, murder, all those things take it to the extreme. And I hate to tell you this, you'd have to be living under a rock to not realize that all these things are happening a lot on a daily basis. When things used to be every now and then, or it was a rare occasion that something would happen, this is happening all the time now. It's very alarming. It's very upsetting. It's horrific. Sometimes I'm thinking, are we living in an alternate universe? Are we in a video game? I don't play video games, but my oldest son used to play them all the time. I think he secretly still does. But they're very violent. There's just somebody plowing through, just shooting people, killing people. No regard, no respect. That's what's actually happening these days. People are driving their cars through crowds of people. People are just walking into a church, walking into a school, going into anywhere, and just plowing everybody down. No respect for life. People sadly are killing themselves. Now that's something, obviously some of these have been going on, for the whole history of the world. I'm just saying nowadays things are way more intense, way more often, and that's the part that's bothering me. Suicide is a very sad thing. Assisted suicide. There's a lot of people that are having their parents, assisting their parents to die. What? All this is just like way over my head. And then there's the murder factor. The murder factor. People are just going, well, you know what? I don't like what this guy is saying. So I'm just going to go shoot him in the neck. A la Charlie Kirk. Charlie Kirk sitting there that day. Again, you'd have to be under a rock to not know about Charlie Kirk being murdered. Goes to an event in front of thousands of people, there to hear him speak, there to have a dialogue with him. He's sitting there. He's not attacking anybody. He's sitting there in a very submissive stance. He's there to have communication with people, have open dialogue with people, learn things from each other. And because somebody doesn't like him and what he has to stand for, they shoot him. And then it gets worse. Then the people cheer it on. The people think it's fine. The people think he deserves it. The people don't care if he's in a crowd of people. They don't care. Shocking. That is shocking. It's shocking behavior. No respect for life. This was a young man in his early 30s, husband, father, son, prominent, conservative speaker. Not violent. He's not violent. He wasn't violent. Somebody just decides, I don't like what he has to say, I'm going to shoot him. That's up. That, to me, is no respect for life. Even if he wasn't a husband and father, even if he didn't have parents alive, there's no reason to go shoot somebody because you don't like what they have to say. I don't know where that's coming from, but that's just absolutely devastating and not okay. And then what ends up happening, people think that they can just go do that anywhere. Take the shooting at the church, the children in church, praying, they get shot. Can you even imagine that? And if that's not horrific enough, to me, almost one of, that's not worse, but just that makes it even worse is when people condone it. They think it's okay. They think people deserve it. They don't see what the big problem is. Even if you say to somebody, well, like right now, I'm sitting here talking about this. Do you think you should come and shoot me? And people's answer is, yeah. I mean, yeah. It's like, what? What planet are we living on? What is happening? I mean, I feel like sometimes I'm going to wake up and I am in a video game. Very strange. So it makes me wonder why is this happening? Why do people commit suicide? Typically, a lot of it has to do with a mental illness or something that is chemically wrong in their brain. They're very depressed. They aren't able to seek out help for whatever reason. They hate their life. They see no future. So that's terribly, terribly sad. I have my aunt committed suicide when she was a young woman, left behind 2 babies. And so suicide is very personal to me. It makes me sad that she, at that time, back in when that happened, people weren't seeking help back then. And it makes me wonder if she would have sought out help, if she would have not made that choice. Obviously, that, was the end of her life and also devastating to her family. Assisted suicide. Why does somebody choose to do that? Why does somebody choose to assist their loved one in killing themselves? Or why does somebody choose abortion? There's so many other options. Why would you choose to end your baby's life? Why would you choose to do that? You kind of even don't have an excuse anymore for that. You can find a family that will adopt your baby. If you have the baby and you can't find somebody to adopt, you can take the baby to police station, fire station. They even have these baby boxes now, which sounds odd, but look it up, Google it. You place a baby in this box and it registers that there's a baby in there, and somebody immediately comes and collects the baby and takes care of the baby. But, you know, with the assisted suicide, with abortion, is it because someone's an inconvenience to you? Like your parents are an inconvenience, so, you know, they're an inconvenience, so, you know, let's just put them out to pasture, send them to the farm, as they say. Or when you have an abortion, well, you know, that baby is getting in the way of my plans, my future plans. Well, maybe you need to think about that prior. If you're going to have an adult relationship with somebody, and that could very possibly be the result, is that could result in a pregnancy, then your future plans should be considerate of that baby. That is your baby. That is a human baby, and it's your baby. You really should consider that before you just don't think clearly about going into a lustful situation, because a baby could result. And it shouldn't be that disposable. And nowadays, women are just popping a pill. They pop a pill and it kills their baby. How horrifically convenient that is. It's an awful thing. When you consider that a presidential candidate running for president last year had an abortion van parked outside of the convention so that women could go have an abortion whilst going to the convention. What's happening? Why is that even an option? Why does somebody think that that's okay or cool? Very strange. Very, very strange, to put it mildly. Why does somebody murder somebody? Well, I guess, you know, you're mad at them. You disagree with them. So I guess the answer is murder. Let's not have a conversation. Let's not agree to disagree. Let's just go and disrespect their life and just take them out of this world, take them away from their families, take their future away because you didn't like what they had to say. Think about that. The thing that I think, besides the fact that all these deaths and murders are occurring, is I think, like I said before, I think the thing that's really devastating is that people are wishing death on other people. They're consciously planning out and carrying out other people's death. Or if the deaths happen, they're cheering it on, they condone it, they think it's fine. And it makes me wonder if they, even when they get home at night, when they lay their head on their pillow, does it occur to them what's gone on in their thought process for the day? Does it occur to them these thoughts that they're having that might not be very godly, that might not be very holy, that might not be very good, that might not be very respectful towards life? I wonder if they think anything of that, or if they just think they're righteous in their decision and in their thought process. It really makes me wonder. I'm wondering if the desensitized attitude people have these days of killing and violence and being blasé about death and about other people dying, and like they just think it's fine and they just condone it. It makes me wonder where that's coming from. Like, why are we acting out like this, especially recently? Where's that coming from? I don't recall. I mean, I know there's been problems and issues in the past. People have been angry with each other. There's been murder. There's been fighting. I know that. I'm not saying all of a sudden in 2025, all of a sudden everybody's violent and angry and nobody's getting along. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying that it seems just very mainstream now. I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that everybody's on social media. You see everything now. I think that feeds into people's need and necessity to be relevant and to be famous or infamous, where if they say something provocative or they do something provocative, they will get clicks, they will get likes, they will get followers, they could get monetized on social media because, you know, they go viral with these things they're saying that cause a reaction. Well, if that's where it's coming from, that's pure evil. I mean, hey, I love social media. I think it's fun. I think it can be fun. I love to see what other people are doing. But I have chosen, especially this past year, to delete accounts that are violent or hostile or negative or hurtful. I've just deleted those accounts. I have eliminated toxic people in my life that I feel that I love. I love them. I pray for them every single day, but I can't watch or hear them being violent and cheering on violence and being, you know, a party to death and destruction. I don't want to have any part of that. I don't. So I have just eliminated those people from my life because I don't condone any of it. I'm thinking that a scary part of this is that our children are watching and observing us. They're watching and observing what everybody's doing. They can't help it because it's everywhere. Again, it's on social media. It's on, you know, in the movies. It's in the news. It's constant. Even when something good is happening, when something positive happens, the first reaction is a negative reaction. Wars are being stopped. Things are, there's things that are falling into place finally, but people have to just find the most negative things. So our children are picking up on this. And it makes me wonder if they could express to us how they're feeling. I wonder what they think about all this. I wonder what they think when mommy and daddy are throwing things at people's cars or lighting things on fire or screaming in other people's faces or chanting that they want somebody to die. What do you suppose the children are thinking about that, I wonder? I know if I were a child, I'd be horrified. I'd be afraid. I'd be thinking, oh my gosh, the adults around me that I trust and I think are going to protect me, they are looking like they're throwing a temper tantrum, kind of like I do when I don't get my way. That's what I'm thinking children are probably thinking. When we're out of control, our children feel very they're very off kilter because they look to us to be the one that has it together, the one that knows what we're doing. And hey, I have had many moments where I have lost my temper. I've done things I am not proud of. I have reacted in over aggressive ways. I have done that in my past. I struggle with it in my present. I hope my future doesn't have as much of that. But I know there's been times where I've scared my children or I've upset the people around me or I've said and done things where I've just thought, oh man, that was too much. That was over the top. And I've apologized for it. Or when I became Catholic, I have confessed things, you know, to ask for forgiveness because it's not okay to act in those ways. But imagine if your parents were the type of parents where every weekend, Mommy, Daddy, can we go to the park? Mommy, Daddy, can we play games? No, we're going to go protest. We are going to go protest. We're going to go yell at people. We're going to scream at people. We're going to be disrespectful to people. And I want you to come along with me, little Johnny. I mean, is that what you want your childhood to be consistent of? It's okay to teach your children to fight for what's fair or to have goals and try to make things right in the world. But violence and hostility is not the way. It's not the way. I wonder what people would think if other people were screaming at them or lashing out at them. I wonder what they would think. I wonder how they would handle that. Probably wouldn't like it very well. So why is this being condoned? Why is there no consequences? Why are people acting this way? What can we do? Well, when we come back, we're going to get to some positives about how we can move forward. Be right back. What is happening at Fresh Catholic? Thanks for asking. Well, we have a weekly podcast with lots of topics and guests, and Fresh Catholic Daily, the daily Mass readings. Listen on all platforms and watch on YouTube. I also do short videos every day on Instagram and Facebook at Fresh Catholic. Like, share, subscribe, rate, and review. These are such simple ways to help us out. The other ways you can support our mission of drawing people to the faith or back to the faith are by becoming a Patreon or sponsor. Also simple, but so needed. Our website, freshcatholic.com, has an online store with merchandise, a blog, comics, and Fresh Catholic courses with educator Charles Merritt, with the Hail Mary, the Our Father, the Virtues, the Ascension, the Magi, the Visitation, the Ten Commandments, Sacraments and Grace, Sin, Advent, Angels, Lent, Typology, and even some Bible study courses. Wow, that's a lot. Please share all of this with everyone you know and join the Fresh Catholic family. And remember, be focused, be faithful, and be fresh. Oh, wait, one more thing. Our Typology series by educator Charles Merritt is feeling very unloved. I know, I get it. You see or hear that word, typology, and your eyes glaze over. You stifle a yawn. You might think to yourself or even say to others, dry, boring, too Old Testament-ish for me. If that's you, then you're missing out because typology connects the promise of Jesus in the Old Testament and the arrival of Jesus in the New Testament. It's like putting scripture under a microscope and seeing things you never saw before. So head to our website, freshcatholic.com, and give typology some love and attention. You will be amazed. And we're back. So, like I said before, why are all these things happening? Why is it being condoned? Why is there no consequence? Why are people acting this way? I think that it's kind of been a slippery slope where I think over time, people, again, are starting not to be respectful of authority, respectful of rules. There's a lot of people out there, lately especially, they will commit a crime, they will go to jail, and they get right out. So what would keep them from not doing that again? If they go, well, you know, I'm gonna shoot this person, I'm only gonna be in a year, and I'll be back out. Well, that doesn't really deter people from committing crimes if they know they can get away with it. I think then that oozes over into our children, into our families, where it's like, well, they're not getting a consequence. They're doing something wrong. They're being disrespectful. They're hurting and harming others, and there's no consequence. So why would they stop? I used to get consequences when I was a kid. Now, granted, I should have gotten more consequences, to be honest with you. And I feel like it's really important to give your children consequences. Give yourself consequences. Have consequences with your spouse. You know, like you guys can't just do anything you want without consideration for another person. So I think it's very important to identify that. That's something, you know, if you look in the world, do you see people getting consequences? Do you see people that think that they're stop and go, you know, I probably shouldn't do this because it could end up not only killing this other person, but it could ruin my life. It could ruin my family's life. I probably shouldn't do this. I probably should really think before I act. I think important in anything to identify where your feelings come from. Why do you feel so incensed by something? Why do you feel so bound and determined to have your view be heard and answered and to be the way, the only way? Where does that come from? I think a lot of times people react from fear and anxiety. They're afraid of someone and they don't want to let them be in charge. They don't want their rules to be the rules. They don't want to adhere to something. And it made me think about recently, there's been talk of putting the 10 Commandments back in all the schools. Back in the day, we used to say the Pledge of Allegiance every day. I don't know if they do that anymore. I don't have kids in school right now. I should ask my grandchildren. But, we used to say the Pledge of Allegiance. I think there used to be prayer in school. And now, all this is stripped from, maybe not the Pledge of Allegiance, but all this is stripped from our schools. So there was a plan to have the 10 Commandments put in the classrooms. And people, of course, rejected that idea. And I was thinking, well, did those people who rejected it, do they even know what the 10 Commandments are? Do they know what those entail? If so, I wonder what they have issue with. So I have my handy dandy Catechism of the Catholic Church, very well used. It's got coffee spilled on it. It's very worn, but this is a handbook for all of you who aren't Catholic. It's a handbook. So I'm going to read to you the 10 Commandments. So even if you know the 10 Commandments, it doesn't hurt to hear these. So I'm going to read these and let's try to see where maybe people are having issue. The first commandment, I am the Lord your God. You shall not have strange gods before me. Number 2, you shall not take the name of the Lord your God. I'm so sorry. You shall not take the name of the Lord your God in vain. Number 3, remember to keep holy the Lord's day. Hang on, I'm sorry. Number 4, honor your father and your mother. Number 5, you shall not kill. Number 6, you shall not commit adultery. Number 7, you shall not steal. Number 8, you shall not bear false witness against your neighbor. Number 9, you shall not covet your neighbor's wife. And number 10, you shall not covet your neighbor's goods. So out of those 10, what do you suppose people have an issue with? Why would we not want our children to follow those commandments? And if you want to know more about the commandments, Charles Merritt, who is a team member of Fresh Catholic, he has a whole 10 Commandments series on our website, freshcatholic.com. So head over and learn all about it. That would be a really good project for Advent with your family, or Lent, even better, because it's long. So that would be really good. Anyway, I suppose maybe the part they have a problem with is the God part. But we need more God in our life. It's, as you can see, the people without God are really struggling. It's the 10 Commandments in a classroom wouldn't be the end of the world. It might be helpful. I think you should identify why you're feeling this way. I think you should go talk to your priest or your spiritual advisor. They might be able to help you to identify why you're feeling the way you are. Perhaps you could have your confession with your priest so that maybe that would alleviate some of your pain and suffering, maybe some things that you feel bad about that you've done, and you can move forward from those. Of course, you can pray. If things are bothering you, if things are troubling you, If you're feeling angry and hostile and violent and all those things, pray. That's what I do. If I'm feeling like really angry, or I'm feeling like I just want to scream, I have to scream into a pillow, I've been told, but I pray, Lord, please help me. Please take these feelings away from me. Please help me to not have this anger in my heart. Please help me to focus on you, Lord. And you are the Prince of Peace, and I need you, Lord. Please help me to not feel this way. Seek out therapy if you need to. I've had to do that. I've had to seek out therapy. I've gone to my priest, I've gone to my spiritual advisor, and they are very, very helpful. But I've also sought out therapy so that I don't feel the way I was feeling. I was really struggling, and I was feeling a lot of anger and hatred, and I don't want to feel that way. That is not at all how I want to feel. And I was given tools and ideas of how, to focus my mind on other things. And, therapy is sometimes that really helps people. Obviously, seek out our Lord. He's the answer to everything, honestly. When other humans can't help me, if I try that route, I always seek out the Lord. I seek him out first, honestly. I'm always seeking him out. But sometimes we have to do tangible things too. Like he gives us guidance, but then we sometimes have to go to therapy. We sometimes have to go to confession. So those things are okay to do, and you have to seek out our Lord. One thing that I did that really helped me, that my therapist encouraged me to do, was to find peace with myself. Like I'm not in charge of everybody. I'm not the judge and jury of everybody. I'm not the police officer to everybody. The Lord is watching everything. The Lord sees everything. I need to allow the Lord, who is the God, in my opinion, the God of justice. He sees everything. In his time, he will impart his justice on people. And it helps when I can step back and not think that I'm the one that has to solve everything and I'm the one that has to fix everything or change people, or I don't want that all on me. That I hand that over to the Lord, and that has given me a lot of relief. Try to use your calm words to make a difference. I'm perplexed by people who think screaming in another person's face is going to change their attitude, change the outcome of something. Again, I have been very known to do this. I'm very hot Italian temper. I will yell, I'll scream. But you know what? Ultimately, that does nothing. It really doesn't do anything. It just makes it worse. So when you see people on social media or out in the world screaming and yelling in somebody else's face, what is the plan there? Like, what is the projected outcome? What is their idea of what that's going to do? I'm always wondering. Of course, you could never ask them, because they'll just, possibly strike you, possibly kill you. You can't even reason with people when they're screaming and yelling and being violent. But it does make me wonder what the plan is, like what their agenda is there, or what their solution they think is going to happen with that. But using calm words, like having a dialogue, that's what Charlie Kirk was trying to do. And unfortunately, that was ended horribly. One thing that I think is really good when you're trying to find peace with yourself or trying to seek out the Lord. And we just heard this today. I'm recording this episode on All Saints Day. And so today we read, the gospel was the Beatitudes. And so I'm going to read you the Beatitudes as well, because I think they're so beautiful. And I think if you read the Beatitudes, I always feel like it's Jesus's message to us, even all this, over 2,000 years later, it's a message to us that we can actually, we can grab onto it. It's something, in my opinion, it's such a calming message he had for us, and it still stands up today. And I think if people could read the Beatitudes more, know the 10 Commandments, know what the rules and the guidelines are, but then read the Beatitudes and imagine Jesus saying those to you because they were from his mouth. So let me read that to you now, again, from my Catechism of the Catholic Church. Here are the Beatitudes. Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are those who mourn, for they shall be comforted. Blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit the earth. Blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness, for they shall be satisfied. Blessed are the merciful, for they shall obtain mercy. Blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall see God. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called sons of God. Blessed are those who are persecuted for righteousness' sake, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are you when men revile you and persecute you, and utter all kinds of evil against you falsely on my account. Rejoice and be glad, for your reward is great in heaven. I just got chills because I love that so much. Beautiful, beautiful Beatitudes. So read that in your Bible, and I think that's wonderful. Study and learn about the saints. We don't worship saints. Let's be clear about that. But the saints who were all human, well, maybe not all of them, but they are human, and they all had very human reactions to things. They stumbled, they fell, they failed, they triumphed. Ultimately, they were so devoted to the Lord that they became saints in heaven. That's what we should all be striving for. But I don't know that there's any saints that got into heaven by screaming at other people to get their way and killing people and disrespecting life. I don't think that happened. Work or volunteer with all kinds of people to learn about their culture. Like when you work with a group of people, it's good when you're all different. It's good when you have some differences. It's good when you have other cultures. Learn from those. Don't force them on other people, but learn about them. I think that's a beautiful thing. See, why do they do what they do? Why do they think the way they do? How were they raised? This is how we can get back to knowing our friends, our coworkers, our neighbors, is by asking them questions, seeing about their life. Not saying, oh, well, you saw what that family that moved in next door. Let's keep our distance from them. What? Don't do that. That's not okay. Find positives in your own life. Even if you're having a hard time, even if you're having a bad day, try to find the positives in your life. You should know why your life is a gift. You should know why you should be grateful to the Lord for your life. Try to find the positives. I have a lot of rough times, and I try to always look on the positive. I get that from my mother. She's a very positive little lady. And even when something really dreadful is happening, I think, okay, well, there's a reason for this, and the Lord has his plan, and there's nothing he does without it. There's going to be an end result that is probably going to be a positive thing, and I just have to wait it out and see where it's going. What lesson can I learn in this moment? I don't want to throw in the towel. I don't want to give up my life. I don't want to hurt somebody else's life. So, what are the positives in my life? I'm sure you can find something positive and then latch onto it. Latch onto it. have it expand. Say, okay, well, I have this one positive thing going. Now how can I make that into an even bigger thing? Find positives in other people. There's something good you can find about every single person. You can. You can. Everybody has some redeeming quality. They really do. Even somebody who you think you hate or that you want nothing to do with, you can say, well, they have this quality or qualities that I think are wonderful about them. It doesn't mean you have to love everything about them, and people don't have to love everything about you, but everybody has something good and positive, and everybody has value to their life. Sometimes people aren't utilizing the value of their life. Sometimes, again, people are just thinking their life is just always going to be here. It's not. And you really have to value it while you're on earth here, you know? Like I said before, realize that God is the ultimate source of justice. He sees all. He knows all. He is against killing. He just is. Look it up. He is against hate. He doesn't like hate. He wants us all to love. That's what he wants. God is love. God is love. God wants us to love our neighbor and our enemies. And as we know, that is one of the hardest things the Lord asks of us. It's very hard to love your enemies. But like he says, and I'm paraphrasing, what is it if you love the people who love you? You have to love the people that you struggle with and who struggle with you. It's very hard. Pray for them. Pray for them every day. Pray for your enemies. Pray for the people you struggle with. And hopefully they're praying for you. What changes can you do today that can help get your part of the world, or the world at large, on track? We've talked about in episodes where you're kind of in your own little area, and start with that. Like, how can you help somebody to value their life? How can you try to encourage people to have a reasonable dialogue? How can you teach your children to have a reasonable dialogue, to use their good, calm words? Give consequences when they're necessary. Give praises when they're necessary. Teach peace, teach love, teach kindness, teach gentleness, teach respect for authority, for other people, for animals, for our planet. Teach respect. When given the choice of love or hate, calm or anger, peace or chaos, life or death, I hope you will choose to love your calm, peaceful life and encourage those around you to do the same. And with that, I hope you have a peaceful, beautiful week, and I hope things start turning around for our families, our country, and our world, and we seek life, not death. Have a beautiful, blessed day. Bye.